Good morning, Cute for Teamers. This is Ricardo Wilkins, Champions Using Teams Effectively. Another office hour session where we get to geek out on Teams. Glad you could make it live or on demand via the YouTube playlist. And as always, the Q&A panel is open for business on your right-hand side. Feel free to put any questions you may have, because that's what this is all about. It's just coming and just asking any questions about teams or teamwork and collaboration in general. Um, and then, of course, as we wait for questions, I always just try to come up with something to discuss. I will say on the front end, for for all Teams users, really, this month has been filled with announcements and releases. I think for many, if not all of you, the dynamic view is or has rolled out, so we're getting a more flexible experience in our meetings. And then some other things are rolling out or coming very, very soon here. I mean, we're still on track, or I believe forms for our government users is starting to roll out or is rolled out for polls and things like that. So that is awesome. But I know the one that our government users are still waiting on, which is still on track and coming soon, Whiteboard, right? So we're still waiting on that. I think we're very close. And so, as we have been waiting on this for a while, there's a lot of questions that my customers have asked about it, and I've also asked my customers, essentially, why are you waiting on it? What are you waiting for, right? What is the killer feature that you're looking for? And I've gotten different answers. One answer that is kind of common is, we're used to that physical room with the real whiteboard, and we take the blue sticky tape and we would make swim lanes, and we take our yellow stickies and we would put those up with different items, and then as part of the meeting or a Kanban or something like that, we're moving them around, and that flexibility of literally grabbing stickies and moving them around was important. And people know that in Whiteboard we can do that. In fact, if you didn't know, let me just show you that real quick. I do have both a commercial and a government demo environment. So this is my commercial demo environment here. Let me kind of go full screen with this. Let's see here. Go full screen. We certainly have a whiteboard within a meeting. This, though, is the standalone whiteboard app. This is a whiteboard that I had created from a previous meeting. So I'm just going to open that up. You can see I was doing some things here, which included playing around with sticky notes. So you can see here a sticky note in the world of Whiteboard. It's got a little button here. You don't really call them stickies. I mean, notes. A colored square. I type, whatever it is I want there, and then that thing is something that is movable and changeable. And you can see here that I think if I zoom out, I've just I've just drawn some lines here. Oops. Draw another one. Drawing some swim lanes, and then I could take these and move them around, right? And apparently that is what one of the experiences people are looking for. Okay. And so certainly if this was done within the context of a meeting, everybody in a meeting can see this. Everybody, at least within the organization, would be able to grab the stickies and edit them and, do all that good stuff, right? So at least from the conversations I've had with customers, this is one killer feature, and that's cool. I will say that, or one thing I have said is if that is the killer feature, while you wait for this that whiteboard experience, consider, and I'll jump back to my government tenant, do this in commercial as well, but consider that you can get a similar experience with Planner, right? I mean, that's essentially what Planner is swim lanes or buckets, and they are cards in this case, column notes that you can, move around in real time. And, everybody that will be a part of this team has access to this planner or this planner plan, could go and, uh, move things around per se, um, so forth. What's a little, color wise, I mean, you can see color label there. What's a little different is, I guess unlike these, which are basically graphical elements, um, these are, you know, almost, I mean, they're things, they have properties and they have the ability to assign people to them. So there's a workflow, there's a life cycle to these little cards that is not the case for these, right? So these look, I mean, visually you'll get a similar experience to what you have in the real world. You got a similar thing here, but you've got more in that checklist and attaching files and dates and assignments and just full life cycle would be the case here. And not to mention, then now having all of these, now seeing charts about those things and, seeing them on a calendar, so forth. So that could be one very simple way. And maybe even when Whiteboard comes, I mean, just keep this in mind. This might be, or this might be a better fit for what you're actually trying to achieve, cards and swim lanes. But if you also want assignments to those cards, then you're kind of getting the best of both worlds with this approach. And in a meeting, I would simply either put a link to this, in this case, this tab in the chat, something like that, or certainly just share my screen and move them around, during the meeting. So that's one thing to consider. Again, if that's the main goal. You certainly, if you're a pen lover and wanted to actually on here write on these, which anybody that kind of knows me would know that I'm all in favor of that. I love Surface. I love the Surface pen. You can certainly get that too. So that would be something that you're not getting out of Planner if you really wanted to write or draw on these. And if that's the case, an alternative to that, not quite as elegant as Planner per se, but I think I may have shown in the past using OneNote to do that. Let me actually open up the OneNote for Windows. And look, I mean, I guess you'd call this a hack, right? I go search for a picture of a sticky note. One with a white background. Let's go with, sure, let's actually copy that one. That looks kind of cool. Pop it in there. Maybe I'll Control C and Control V and Control V and put a bunch of them in there. And then I can draw them a little swim lanes. Right. And I could draw on this, what I didn't want to do. The Whiteboard app does make it a little better to kind of group, I guess I could group this if I really wanted to or something, but, just making sure I'm selecting the ink and the image, and then I'm back to, good old fashioned moving sticky notes around, right? I could type into it as well, or I'm really typing. I'd probably type, over here and then place it on top. so I'm doing a few more actions than the other ones. I can certainly do that and then grab the whole thing and move that where I needed to. So if it's the love of stickies that is your thing, there are plenty of ways to get a stickies experience. Certainly can't change the color of these. I'd have to go grab another screenshot of a sticky. But yeah, and again, this OneNote page again could be shared either in a screen share on Teams meeting. This was stored in a team like this one is safety audit notebook. Everybody's got access to this. Everybody can go make changes. This thing is constantly syncing, as we see here. I think the Whiteboard app its sync is a little more real time than OneNote, but on a good day, this is syncs relatively quickly. On a bad day, the syncs might take a few seconds. But so a way to get it done. Just like Whiteboard, though, these are not actionable per se. I mean, there's no built-in tasks I would assign. At least in the OneNote for Windows app, if I open this in a OneNote desktop, I probably could do an Outlook task on something, but I don't know. Yeah, that just depends on the preference there. Got a little thunder in the background, so maybe that was just to make my point, right? That's the finale was the thunder outside. Anyway, so I just thought I'd talk about that here in case that's something that people were wondering about. So yes, even as for government customers, even as your Whiteboard app does finally hit you, just keep that in mind, that if the stickies was what you've been waiting on, know that there are some alternatives and ones that may provide some additional value. All right. Cool. So I don't see any questions in the QA today. I don't have any other topics, so I think I may just wrap this one up early. So yeah, we'll just let this session be about sticky notes, and we'll just get back at it next week. So C.U.T.E for Teams every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Tell your friends. Anybody can join this. You don't have to be one of my customers or one of Stacy's customers or anything. Anybody can join it. I can fit 20,000 people in here. So tell them to join the party. All right. So we will see you all next week. Have a great weekend, and I hope this was helpful. See you next week.